All right, welcome. Explore SDSU 2021. As we're waiting for others to join us, why don't you just take a moment and in the chat, tell us where you're from. What city, what state, where are you joining us? Ooh, first person to answer from San Jose. Yay, that's where I'm from. Welcome. Got some San Diego, so we've got a lot of Northern California, Southern California, and when you're here in San Diego, we're all going to be best friends.
Oh, there's a Brussels, Belgium.
Excellent. Someone joining us from Hawaii. Aloha. We'll just wait for just another minute or so. Got about 71 people in here so far. Looking good. Excellent. A number of people coming in from Washington, Washington State. Quite a few from the Bay Area. Excellent. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So welcome and congratulations. You have done so much work the last 4 years. We just want to, first of all, say great job. You got an admittance to SDSU, and so now you're here to see if this really is the right place for you. And so hopefully an international program is part of your decision. So let's go ahead and get started. So welcome. Jessica, do you want to go ahead and start?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Welcome again to San Diego State. My name is Jessica Ban, and I am the International Programs Coordinator for one of the colleges at SDSU, the College of Arts and Letters. And I'm excited to get to share with you how to go about navigating how to study abroad or have an international experience while you're at SDSU.
Hello, everybody. My name is Ryan McLemore, and I am a global education advisor at San Diego State in the Global Education Office, which is what many refer to as the Study Abroad Office, but we'll talk about global education broadly. And we're in the International Affairs Division at SDSU.
And welcome. My name is Letty Kahya. I am also a global education advisor. And I'm also an alumni. So I did my bachelor's degree at SDSU in religious studies and comparative literature. So I know how excited you must be. And also thank you for joining us today. I know it's probably already been a bit of a long day in many of these sessions. So we are really curious about why you're interested in an international experience. So we like using Slido. So if you go to slido.com and put in 49468, or if you just pull out your phone, open up your camera mode and just take a shot of this QR code, we can kind of get an idea of what you're interested in learning or why do you want to have an international experience. Oh, look, we've got a couple people already started, some great food, some meeting new friends. So what are you curious about or why are you interested in an international experience? Excellent. I love this part. Experience, culture is lots of answers coming in from there. Food, absolutely. New experiences. I'm sure, especially now with all of us having been in lockdown for a while, getting out and seeing the world's probably even more appealing. Excellent, thank you. Feel free to keep on typing these in. About exploring heritage, learning new cultures, friends, absolutely, diversity. Excellent. Some have traveled, some have never left the US. Risk taking, oh, I like that one. Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing your ideas and your thoughts with us. And so we'll hit on some of these as we're going through visiting new countries. Absolutely. Change, escaping comfort. Yeah. Excellent. So let's go back and let's hear from some students that did have an international experience and kind of why they wanted to study abroad or do an internship or volunteer service learning experience, some kind of international experience. All right, so just a lot of things that you have said, and all of these photos and all of these videos are from SDSU students. These are their photos and these are their videos. And this video was created by an intern, a student intern in the art department. And so maybe someday your photos and your videos will be part of our presentation in the future. And so as we think about us traveling and interacting with the world is becoming smaller with technology and with mobility. And so Ryan is going to tell us a little bit more of, just kind of give us some context.
Thanks, Letty. Hi, everybody again. This is Ryan McLemore. And we often like to put up this snapshot of the world, of our wonderful planet here, to give us an idea of what the world looks like and who is the world. And so some demographers some time ago thought about taking the full population of the world, which is roughly now 7.5 billion, yes, billion with a B, people on the planet. And if we condensed that population down to only 100 people, only 100 people in one village, at the same time maintained the proportionalities at the larger scale of languages, of where those people are from, some of the development challenges, the uneven development around the world. If we maintain the proportion there, this is what that village would look like. And it really is eye-opening, I think, in many areas. One is just the where, where are those people from in that village? Only 5 people out of 100, 5% would be from the United States. And yet a full 60%, 60 people would be from Asia. And so just a really jaw-dropping reminder of the population density the volume of people that are in some of these other regions around the world, whether it's Asia or Africa, with 16 people there. So very interesting. And I studied abroad in India originally. I went to India for a whole semester. And so I'm always happy to see a full 17 people in that village would be from India. Languages, always really interesting, and many students engage languages when they study abroad. Only 5 people in the village would speak English. So boy, if you're someone in that village that only speaks English, you're going to have difficulty communicating and interacting with the rest of your villagers there. A full 12 people would speak a Chinese dialect. Wow, really interesting. I'm a humanistic geographer. I love to not only study the world, but study about the different perspectives, the different ideologies of where people come from. And in terms of that faith, it's fascinating that about 2 out of 3 people would be from a faith that's not Christian or not religious. And 1 out of 3 would consider themselves Christians. So just a wonderful, beautiful, I think, beautiful, vivid reminder of the diversity of ideologies and perspectives about where we come from and who we are, and the cultures that are associated with those faiths. And then, of course, the development there, very interesting. I have 2 parents that are teachers, and so I'm always happy and proud to point out only 1 person in that village would be a teacher. So a wonderful picture to remind us there's so much to learn about the world.
Excellent, thank you, Ryan. And as we go through this process, if you do have any questions, please feel free to put them in the Q&A panel and we'll get to them. So now let's kind of switch and talk about what does this really mean? What types of experiences can we have, or can you have while a student at SDSU? And so, go ahead, Jessica.
So faculty-led programs are one of the options available to you at SDSU. There are many different types of international experiences. Sometimes you just hear the word study abroad, but really there are multiple different ways to have a study abroad or international experience. And faculty-led programs are just one of those options. At SDSU, we even break it down further. We have what are called global seminars, and these typically take place during the winter or summer break, and you actually will travel with a faculty member that teaches here at SDSU. And it's a course that would normally be taught on campus. It's in the course catalog, but instead just think of it as that course is being picked up and kind of dropped into a new location. And so the syllabus will change. It will have the course content will be focused on the culture, the history, the politics of that location. And in this instance, you can see this photo. This is a group of students who are taking a history course, and they are studying in Seville and in southern Spain. We also have embedded courses. These are courses that take place as usual during the normal semester, but then there's going to be a part of the course, usually about 1 week in length, where students will travel together as a group. For instance, in the College of Arts and Letters, where I work, we have the alternative spring break that the Department of Africana Studies has, and they will go as a group during spring break, and they will either travel, for instance, to Ghana or Ethiopia as a group, and they will, for instance, do service projects and things like that related to a lot of the course content that they learn throughout the semester. We have transporter courses. This is a great opportunity that I encourage you to take advantage of, even if you're not necessarily thinking of, maybe you want to go abroad for a whole semester, but we also have these courses that take place or that take advantage of our really unique and wonderful geographic location as a university that's right on the border. And so these courses will have maybe several days in a normal classroom at SDSU, and then you're going to have many other days where you will travel as a class and go across the border, and maybe you'll visit nonprofit organizations, museums. I know in the past students have gone to the US Embassy in Tijuana, or the US Consulate, I should say. So it's a really great opportunity that if you are able to, please take advantage of this. The fact that we have international, just mere miles from campus is a great opportunity to take advantage of. And then we have academic related travel, which maybe a class will take a day-long trip into Tijuana to learn about a specific topic. Or they might even visit a different location in the US. And then one of the kind of key factors about faculty-led programs is that they're a lot shorter in length. So you see here, they can range from 1 day, for instance, academic related travel, all the way up to 6 weeks. Some of our faculty-led programs are maybe there will be a 6-unit course, and they will take place over the course of 6 weeks in various locations around the world. And these are all SDSU credit, and they're taught by SDSU faculty. And these can be really great options because they're pretty flexible. It might be hard if you, for instance, you work and you support yourself to travel for an entire semester abroad, but taking off 2 weeks from your job is a lot more feasible, and maybe you could do a faculty-led program. So these can be a really great option because they can be quite flexible for students, and they could maybe fit in a faculty-led program, and then maybe at some other point they might do a transborder course. So it's definitely something to keep in mind when you're looking at all the options available to you.
Excellent, thank you, Jessica. And if you're looking for a longer experience, we have some exchange programs. So exchange essentially means that SDSU has a relationship with another university abroad. And so we have more than 100 different partners that you can choose from. You pay your SDSU tuition. So if you pay in-state tuition, that's what you pay. If you pay out-of-state tuition, you would pay your out-of-state tuition. You can use all of your financial aid. You can take courses that would go towards your major, towards your minor, or any general education requirements. You can take on these types of programs. And so it's a great way to spend a semester or an academic year abroad and still progress towards graduation. So everything you take is still counting for something towards your graduation requirements. It's also a great way to live somewhere abroad and really increase your independence, and you're the international student on that campus. And so it's a really great way to really spend some time integrating into a different society and in a different culture. Spending time for a semester and academic year abroad is also really great if you are thinking about graduate school in the future. It shows that you're able to learn in a different educational system. A lot of systems abroad are really independent learning. And so it shows that you have a lot of drive, that you are, as someone had mentioned earlier, somewhat of a risk taker, that you're looking to explore new things. And so the exchange programs are a really great way to do this, and being really cost effective, especially if you are a California resident and you're paying in-state tuition. So paying your SDSU tuition and being someplace that's more expensive, like Finland or in London, where you can really pay your fees to SDSU, but still live in a location that could be potentially more expensive than San Diego. I know that's hard to believe because San Diego is pretty expensive, but it's possible. So there are many different types of exchange programs. So there's an SDSU exchange where SDSU has a relationship with a specific university abroad. There's also CSUIP, so that's CSU international programs, and these are run through the Chancellor's office. So this is really great if you have friends that are going to a different CSU. They're open to all CSU students. So if one of your friends is at Humboldt State or Chico, you can all have an experience together, which is kind of nice. They've been around since the 60s. They are really well developed, and they have some great student services. Many of the locations will have a CSU faculty member that lives there who, it's really nice because you get access to a faculty member for all types of advising in a different way that you would than being on campus. And then we also have ISEP. So ISEP is International Student Exchange Program, and it's a big consortium of universities that we're a member of. This one is a little bit different in that you pay your SDSU tuition and housing and meals to SDSU. So it's kind of more of a package deal, and you receive those same services on the other end. So all of these locations offer some unique universities. They have partnerships and relationships with different universities. So really, you have quite a few options to choose from. And that's not all. You have more semester and academic opportunities, which Ryan is going to share with you.
Thanks, Letty. Another category we just want to emphasize real quick is some of the approved programs through provider organizations. These are different nonprofit and for-profit organizations, largely based in the United States, that we work with as a campus, and they have hundreds of programs all around the world. These are very well designed, often, and affordable options for students. The students can use their federal financial aid most of the time to participate in these programs. So there are also good options. We have a lot of students that participate in provider programs. One example here in the slide is Nancy, who studied abroad in Uganda in East Africa one semester. A wonderful opportunity to go to a lesser developed and a selected destination and region. And she had a really enriching opportunity to live with a host family, to take courses toward her major, and to do research, undergraduate research. So, and there's many other types of these provider programs, different kinds of options, different structures that and themes that students can pursue. These are all listed on our Aztecs Abroad database as well. So good options.
Excellent, thank you, Ryan.
So international internships are another great option that you can consider as a student at SDSU. If you know that you're really interested in gaining practical work experience, but you still also really want to be able to engage with a different culture and explore a new country, consider taking part in an international internship. International internships are typically about 8 weeks in length, but they can also be more than that. We've had students do an internship for the entire duration of their summer, and they actually do it at the same time that they're taking courses throughout the semester. So they essentially do both, just like you could intern at SDSU in your off time, maybe as a part-time internship. Students will do that abroad. These can also be credit bearing. They don't have to be, but oftentimes students will apply to have their internship count towards either their major, and there are even majors that have a requirement to do an internship, and students will fulfill that requirement by doing it abroad. For instance, I work with sustainability students, and they have a study abroad requirement and they have an internship requirement. So I work with students who have combined those and done an international internship to fulfill both requirements at once. And one of the really great things at SDSU is we have many different scholarships to support international internships. In fact, all of the students you see in these photos received a scholarship to do their internship abroad. The top photo, we have 2 students who were sustainability students, and they did an internship in Brazil. The middle photo is a student who did an internship in Cambodia. And of course, you heard about Nancy, who studied abroad in Uganda, and she also did an internship there. So, and these students all receive different scholarships. So there's multiple different scholarships that are there to support international internships, which is one of the pretty unique things I think about SDSU, that resource is available to students.
Another type of experience that you can have is volunteering abroad. So if you want to focus on giving back to a community, or another way to gain some practical work experience is to volunteer abroad. So for example, we have one that we send that a lot of students participate on is IVHQ, International Volunteer Headquarter. And so this was created by a man in New Zealand, and it's approved by SDSU. And so it's a great way to work with people from all over the world. So it's not a student organization, it's an organization where anyone in the world can participate, anyone who wants to volunteer. So there are a number of different types of projects. So there are conservation projects, there are sports programs, there are many types of ways that you can volunteer abroad in locations all over the world. So this is an opportunity that students usually go on in the summer or over the winter break between their fall and their spring semesters. And so it's also another way to explore a field where maybe you're not really sure if you want to get into that field but it's a way to kind of dip your toe into the pool and just see if that is the type of work that you would like to do. So it is very project-based. And so many of the students, this will also, the work that they're doing, they're also living with the other volunteers, and they're also sharing their meals with the other volunteers. So it's a great way to meet people from all over the world who have that desire to want to help out another community and to share their skills with another group of people. And so there's healthcare, sustainability, education, so many, many different types of volunteer experiences that are available.
The last category of programs that we definitely want to highlight for you today are the virtual international programs. These are programs and experiences that do not require international travel. Some of these existed before the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic that all of us have been enduring for these many months. But they certainly have expanded in recent months during the pandemic, when students have had limited or no access to international travel. We've had some students pursue these approved virtual programs through different organizations and San Diego State. And we expect many of these to continue after the pandemic. For a variety of reasons, whether it's financial or whether it's a place-bound student who may not have the opportunity to leave the United States. These are wonderful options to still gain cross-cultural experience, even learn new languages remotely, to meet new people. These are really wonderful opportunities, either individually or potentially to combine with an in-person experience. So you're not limited to one experience that we've described so far. You can definitely, as a new student, you have four years out in front of you, you could definitely combine multiple experiences. So just to emphasize the different types, there's virtual study abroad, where a student may enroll in one or more courses at a foreign university, but remotely. There may also be virtual internships, where someone can complete an internship with a foreign company or organization, and they just carry out the tasks, carry out the work remotely over the internet with that organization. We also have virtual exchanges with our partner universities internationally, where an SDSU student might be attending that school and vice versa. One of their students may be attending San Diego State, but entirely virtually. In fact, we have about 50 international students that are attending San Diego State right now this spring virtually. We also have COIL experiences. These are quickly being developed. This is kind of a new frontier for San Diego State, but a lot of interest in COIL is collaborative online international learning. And this is an opportunity for an SDSU instructor to teach a course collaboratively with a foreign faculty member in his or her class in another country. So connecting those classes and the students there. And these are also very affordable because they don't require travel often. So if that's a concern, we encourage students to think about these virtual programs. The next program that we want to highlight is a unique program. It's a program and a program type, I suppose, all to its own. It is SDSU's own campus in the Republic of Georgia in Eastern Europe. The Republic of Georgia, in the capital of Georgia, Tbilisi. SDSU some years back collaborated with the Georgian government and the Georgian higher education system to set up a campus first for Georgian students to earn a San Diego State degree from their campus, from their country. And that's been very productive. We've had many Georgian national students who have earned a degree there, even some international students from other countries who are earning an SDSU degree there. And that the establishment of that SDSU campus in Georgia now allows San Diego State students to take SDSU courses in Georgia. So it's a wonderful opportunity to pay SDSU tuition as normal, to receive financial aid, to take SDSU catalog courses. These are regular SDSU courses that are listed in our catalog, primarily through the College of Sciences and the College of Engineering, but there are also some general education courses too. So it's a particularly good option for College of Sciences and College of Engineering. And this is a wonderful video highlighting one student's experience in Georgia.
My name is Manuel Martinez, and I'm a civil engineering sophomore from Vista, California. As a student building my career in the STEM field, I spent my first semester on campus getting involved in Engineers Without Borders, MESA, and LSAMP. But during my second semester, I chose to study abroad in the Republic of Georgia. In Tbilisi, the classes were convenient and affordable. The lectures were a lot smaller than the packed halls that I'm used to. That was helpful for me because I was more comfortable working with a professor that recognized me. Now that I'm home, I look back and treasure the professors, students, and memories that I made during my semester in Tbilisi. I learned a lot studying abroad. I'm still blown away by the huge amount of resources offered to assist our students here at San Diego State. I would recommend studying abroad to any student, especially since SDSU has so many great programs to choose from. You can really find a program that suits you. My name is Manuel Martinez, and this is my Aztec experience.
Okay, and all of that to say that we have a lot of types of international experiences in our portfolio. So many, and we send a lot of students abroad that we were just ranked recently #1 in California for sending students on an international experience, and #8 in the United States. And you can see from this little map all over the world, every continent. We're even preparing to send a student to Antarctica, so that is an option as well. There are more than 600 international programs you can choose from, and many of our partners are world ranked. So we have a partnership with the Sorbonne in France, with Nanyang Technological University, with Mannheim in Germany, just to name a few. And in just a minute, I'll show you how you can see which universities we have partnerships with. But first, Jessica's going to talk about this international education requirement.
Yes, so many different majors at SDSU have a requirement to fulfill an international experience. And an important thing to keep in mind is that the requirement differs major by major. As I mentioned, I work in the College of Arts and Letters, and we have, I believe, 14 different majors that have an international experience requirement. And some of the minors even have an international experience requirement. And each major will decide, how that requirement should be fulfilled. And it really does differ major by major. For instance, a student in Africana Studies can simply fulfill their requirement by taking part in that alternative spring break. So their international experience was 1 week in length. Whereas an international business student needs to complete an exchange program or an international experience that is at least for a whole semester. So it really depends on your major and department. I've highlighted here the colleges where some of the majors have an international experience requirement. Cal has quite a few of them. HHS actually has, every student who's in HHS will need to fulfill an international experience requirement. So that's quite unique about that college. And I've just put into the chat a link here that actually will highlight the different majors that have an international experience requirement. I saw in the chat someone was asking about Weber's Honors College and what the requirement is. So you can click on that and you can click on your college, your major, and kind of figure out what is that requirement. It's good to start thinking about, how you will fulfill that requirement now as an incoming freshman. You will have plenty of time to complete it, but it's good to start considering all your options and when it would fit best into your academic plan.
And the key is to plan early because you still have so many requirements to fulfill. So the earlier you plan, the more options are open to you. And so how do you do that? And that is by visiting www.sdsu.edu/Aztecs Abroad. So Aztecs Abroad is our database that houses all of these 600 plus international opportunities. So if it's in Aztecs Abroad, it's approved. So let's actually just pop over here to the actual website. So there are a lot of different things in this database. And so let's go up here to this top left where it says programs. And so there are a few different ways that you can search for different programs. I like the program discovery button if you just kind of want to see, as the title suggests, discover different programs. So if we click on this and we put in one, so let's say, for example, you're interested in a summer program, this will bring up a variety of summer programs. So you can see there's 164 matches. And it's a nice way to just explore, to discover the different types of programs that we offer. Another way is to use this advanced search. So I'm going to click here on this bar in the middle. And it's nice if you scroll down here, you can search by the type of experience, internship, research, volunteer. If you are interested in the virtual programs, that would be down here in this mode of participation. You can pull up all the virtual programs. If you are looking at program types, you can see there are these exchange programs. There's these few different ones. And then there's also the partner program, the provider program, or you can search by term. So if you are looking to go for a fall semester, a spring semester, summer, or any of these other terms, you can filter out by that as well. So just kind of thinking of when you want to go abroad. As well as some of these other filters. And so this is really useful in kind of discovering what's in there. And you can also search by field of study. And so if you are looking at the locations that have some Africana studies courses, then you can choose that as well. And so it's a really great way to just kind of see what is offered by SDSU. And so once you have your red ID, once you're a student with SDSU, probably want to know when you get started. So how you kickstart this process. So if we go back to this main screen, there's this click here to learn how to get started. And so this is once you are a student and you've gone through orientation and you're pretty much started at SDSU. There's this start advising. And so click on here and you'll use your SDSU login credentials to create an account. And this brings you to an advising phase. And so this advising phase is really designed to help you think about your international experience. And so what types of coursework are you looking at? Are there aspects of your identity that you would like to discuss that would be a factor into your decision-making of the type of experience you're looking for, or any kind of financial questions? And so this advising questionnaire is really designed to kind of help you think about your international experience holistically and what are the different factors that might go into helping you make a decision about what type of program would be best for you. So yes, we have more than 600 options, but not all of those options are really going to be beneficial to you. So it's really about having an intentional experience and setting some goals and thinking about how you can get the most out of your experience. And so that's designed to assist you with that. And then it's also helpful for us. The last stage or the last part of that advising questionnaire is actually to come into our office, hopefully in person, or we can meet with you virtually as we're still working remotely. But it's to meet with a global education advisor to actually discuss your plan. So I think a really common question is, where do students go? Or when do students study abroad? And the really great thing about all of these options and these varieties is that your international experience is really about you. So what works for you may not be the best experience for someone else. And so it's a very, very personalized, and there are so many options. So it's our job to be here to help you kind of sift through and really identify the best return on investment for you, the best program that's going to help you progress towards graduation, the best program where it's going to help you meet your goals and your needs for the type of experience that you're looking for. And so, yes, how on earth are you going to pay for this? And Ryan is going to go ahead and give us some tips.
Thanks, Letty. Yes, so I am actually the financing and scholarships coordinator in the Global Education Office. And for many years, I have advised students about financial planning, about budgeting appropriately for study abroad, how you can use your financial aid. We have many different workshops throughout the year, both in person and virtually, to help students think about making studying abroad affordable and financially feasible. But just a few quick points here. One is it's wonderful to attend San Diego State because study abroad is accessible and affordable. It's a big reason why we're number 8 or number 5 in the country in terms of the volume of students that study abroad. It's very affordable. It's often cheaper than staying at San Diego State for a semester, in large part because the cost of living internationally is cheaper than the cost of living in San Diego and in California. So that's a big reason to save money and study abroad, to think about it potentially like that for a semester or a year. Those our partner programs that we talked about through different organizations, they have a wide variety of costs, but many of them are comparable to the cost of attendance at SDSU. And consequently, we have a lot of students that participate in those programs and are able to use their financial aid, federal financial aid. So those are good options. We would also really emphasize for students, especially students that are new freshmen, they're new to San Diego State, they're planning out their experiences for 4 years, to really think critically and to talk to a variety of advisors about the relative advantages of a longer term study abroad program of a semester and an academic year, or a shorter term experience of a few weeks over the summer or the winter break. There's a lot of great reasons to pursue either, as Jessica alluded to earlier with the faculty-led programs. But one really valuable and lucrative reason to pursue a semester or an academic year experience is you can often use your full federal financial aid, and you can use your California financial aid if you're eligible for any California aid. So we find students find out that a semester or an academic year often is proportionally cheaper than a shorter term experience where you may not have access to your financial aid. And some students will do both. Some students will do a short term and a long term, or vice versa. So thinking critically about that. Budgeting for additional costs is really important. So not just thinking about tuition and housing and airfare, but thinking about additional fees and costs and personal expenses. And we have budget sheets that we can provide students to effectively do that budgeting. We encourage people to talk to the financial aid office for additional input, attend our workshops that our office does in conjunction with the financial aid office, and do that early so you can effectively financially plan. Next slide. Just a few, there's many different scholarships, both study abroad scholarships, but also general scholarships to SDSU students. And we encourage people to research these as well. First is the SDSU Aztec Scholarships general application that's run through the Office of Financial Aid and Scholarships. That is now a wonderful way for students to submit one single application, only one application every academic year. And that will make students considered for the many hundreds of SDSU scholarships across the campus. So submitting the Aztec scholarships application. There are also a list of study abroad awards there that you can see on the slide here, and it's definitely not a comprehensive list. There's many more that are listed in the Aztecs Abroad database. One of them is the AS, or Associated Student Scholarship, which is for all students funded by a student fee. There's the Benjamin Gilman Scholarship for US citizens that receive the federal Pell Grant. Fund for Education Abroad. One that I love to highlight is the Critical Language Scholarship, or CLS, which is a fully funded scholarship and program in the summer to intensively study a critical language in Asia or Europe, Eastern Europe, Africa, the Middle East, to intensively study one of those languages in the summer. And there's many, many other words that are listed in the Aztecs Abroad database. So we encourage you to research those.
So, we've given you a lot of information, and there are going to be many different individuals and departments that you're going to likely need to work with when you're starting your research of where you might want to study abroad. And there's numerous different departments that you'll work with that throughout the process to study abroad. And the first of which I want to highlight is the Global Education Office, or GEO as we also call it. And you can think of the GEO as the main study abroad office. It's a physical space. You can go there and you can kind of there's advising hours. You can kind of just start to learn what are the options out there, as well as pursuing, of course, the Aztecs Abroad database, which you've already seen. You can have advising through this office. And this is also the office that manages approving your applications for exchange programs, for instance, or if you want to work with a program provider, they'll also look at an internal application for those students. There are also different international program college liaisons. I work in the College of Arts and Letters, but most of the colleges will have their own liaison that you can work with. And these individuals are great for asking questions about maybe the international experience requirement that you need to fulfill, or very course specific or college specific questions related to if you're trying to study abroad for an entire semester and you're trying to build, a whole course load that will work towards your major. These individuals can kind of walk you through that process. And then you'll also definitely want to work with your major advisor, especially if you're going abroad for an entire semester, because you likely will want some of those courses to apply towards your major. And these individuals can also assist you with fulfilling the international experience requirement. I don't know if Letty, if you're able to click one more time for that one to bring it up. Yeah, great. And then, so that's the major advisor. And then we also have the Advising and Evaluations Office. Some students might work with this office, some students might not, but especially if you're studying abroad for an entire semester or a year, a lot of those credits will come back as transfer credit, and those transcripts will go through the Office of Advising and Evaluations. And that's also the office that determines, how many units you'll receive or how many credits you'll receive from your experience abroad, because, the United States uses a certain unit of measurement for courses, but other institutions, other education systems don't necessarily use that. You might see something that says 24 as the number of units, and you're not really sure what that means. This office will make sure that those units are properly converted to SDSU units. And then, as Ryan already mentioned, the Office of Financial Services and Scholarships. This will be the office you'll really need to work with if you're trying to have any of your financial aid or scholarships apply to an experience abroad. And there's some types of experiences where financial aid doesn't necessarily carry over, but then there are, for instance, those exchange programs where it's a lot easier to carry over your financial aid and scholarships. And this is the office you'll work with, because they can see that information, and a study abroad advisor doesn't get to see that financial aid information. So this kind of gives you an idea of the myriad different departments and individuals on campus that you will likely be working with as you're navigating this process from beginning to end, from when you're first exploring your options all the way to when you come home and you're having your credits transfer over. Yeah, so that kind of brings us to the conclusion of our main presentation part of this, and we wanted to go ahead and open it up for questions. I see that there are a lot of questions in the Q&A. Letty, do you want to kind of moderate that, and we can maybe jump in with who's the best person to answer certain questions, since we have almost about 10 minutes left?
Yeah, that sounds good. So let's start at the top. First question, can these sort of experiences happen in any type of class or in specific class colleges only? And how can one find out about which classes offer this faculty-led or transporter experience?
I can go ahead and try to answer that first one. So as far as the transporter or faculty-led, we promote these in the same database that we already mentioned, Aztecs Abroad. So you can actually filter by a transporter experience. You can filter by a faculty-led. So if you search for summer programs, you'll see faculty-led included within those search results. And sometimes it's not necessarily clear when you're registering for a course that it might have a small international component. There might be a planned excursion to Tijuana that it's not necessarily considered, it's not a part of the programs that are in the database, but you might have an experience throughout your time at SDSU where you are in a course where you will get to have that kind of short international experience. And I would say for the virtual experiences that Ryan mentioned, we have some COIL programs that they're not necessarily going to show up in Aztecs Abroad, but in your course catalog, you will be able to find them, and they will likely state that you will have the normal course here at SDSU, but that you're going to be partnering with a university abroad. And I'm working with a faculty right now who's working with a faculty member in Colombia. And so in the fall, students will take the normal course here at SDSU, but then they're going to have about 6 weeks where they're going to collaborate virtually with students in another class in Colombia. And so it's very likely at SDSU that you might have multiple chances to have an international experience, maybe a whole semester, maybe a transporter experience. I encourage you to take advantage of as many of these as possible while you're at SDSU.
So thank you. Next question, I think, is a pretty common one. What year is the best recommended to do semester/year-long exchange? Ryan, do you want to take that one?
Sure. We have students that study abroad anytime from immediately after their freshman year, say the summer after their freshman year, all the way through their senior year. So kind of the second year, third year, fourth year is when most students study abroad. Semester and academic year programs, most students study abroad, and we encourage them to pursue it as such during their sophomore year or their junior year, their second or third years. We find that works best for most majors and minors. But at the same time, we really encourage students to talk to their academic advisors early on. Even if you're just a freshman, a first-year student, talk to your academic advisors, talk to us in the Global Education Office, and we can give you maybe some tailored advice and input about, depending on what your major and minor is, what semester or year we might help you target to pursue.
Thank you. There's a question, most abroad European schools do not have campus housing. How is that handled? And does the university assist with housing options?
I can take that. The type of housing varies by our partner universities in Europe and elsewhere around the world. Sometimes students will live in university managed accommodation in residence halls or dorms at that university. That's very common. But also many times students will find an apartment with other students, either very near that campus or elsewhere in that locality. In rare cases, some students will live with a host family or homestay. That's most common with those provider programs. Housing does vary, but there's support through the process from our office and providing students input how to pursue that. And then also, of course, by the program and the host university.
Thank you. And as you're exploring programs in the Aztecs Abroad database, for example, click on an SDSU exchange program, they'll all have this tab that says housing. So it will depend on the partnership, but that will give you a little more specific information for that particular partnership. There's a question, are exchange programs going to be active in fall 2021 in regards to COVID-19? Do you want to take that one, Ryan?
Sure. We hope that many students are able to study abroad even this upcoming summer and next academic year as the pandemic global conditions improve. We're seeing some positive news and events around the world in terms of vaccinations and in terms of different controls. So we are definitely supporting students through the application process for next academic year and beyond. Our office is open. We're happy to advise students about experiences upcoming. At the same time, there is uncertainty about how the pandemic is unfolding, and we're encouraging students to have a contingency plan, have a backup plan of attending San Diego State or doing other activities if they are unable to travel and study abroad this upcoming year. So trying to help students in different ways during this uncertain period.
Thank you. Question, are there any majors that can't study abroad? Jessica, do you want to take that one?
Sure. Now, as far as I know, I don't think there's any major that stipulates you are not able to study abroad. In fact, as a general rule, San Diego State highly encourages its students to have an international experience, and we take a very broad definition of that. International experience for one student can be a transborder experience, or maybe a virtual COIL program, or maybe they're going to go abroad for an entire year. So we take a very broad definition of that. I would say there's probably some majors where it's a little bit more challenging to fit it into your kind of degree plan. Oftentimes science, of course, the sciences can be a little bit more challenging fitting it in, but we have many different students from, I feel like I've met students from all across the university who are, students from the sciences, for instance, and they're still able to have an international experience. It really is up to you and how you want to prioritize having an international experience. If it's high up on your priority list, I really encourage you to just make it happen. And the earlier you plan, the more likely it will be that you can fit it in no problem, and you will not have to delay your graduation. And as far as those majors where it can be a little bit more challenging because they have very specific courses that need to be met, SDSU Georgia is a great opportunity to take advantage there because it is the course that they are the courses that are available here at SDSU, and you can take them in Georgia. And then we have a variety of different ways where maybe you can take a course or do a study abroad program in the summertime or during winter break or during spring break. So it doesn't have to delay your graduation, but I am not aware of any major that says you are not allowed to. I would be very surprised if that exists at all. We have so many majors, so I don't want to say that for certain, but I would be very surprised if there was a major that said that.
I would just add to that really quickly that some majors, especially at the upper division level, are very rigid in terms of the requirements that need to be met. And it can be more difficult for a student to study abroad for a whole semester and still stay on track to graduate and fulfill requirements. So in some of those cases, we encourage people to pursue a shorter term experience over the summer or the winter break. And I think our colleagues in the academic units would totally feel the same way, that no one's going to dissuade a student from pursuing an international experience, but it might be necessary to negotiate between different priorities and realities.
One thing we didn't also feature, but it is an option, is doing international research. And we have had students who will do a research project abroad as well. That's just another type of opportunity available to you.
And this is also going into the planning early. So if you do have a major where it can be a little difficult to do major coursework abroad, some students will go their sophomore year, for example, and take some general education. So they're still progressing towards graduation. So there's a number of questions on how you can see the list of partner institutions that SDSU has. So going back to the Aztecs Abroad database, if you go into the advanced search, so for example, if you wanted to look at those SDSU exchange programs, you would select SDSU Exchange. And then this will bring up the list of our partners abroad. So it's SDSU Exchange at, and then here is the name of the university where we have a partnership with. And so you can do that with all of those different searches. So SDSU Exchange, CSUIP, you can see those specific partnerships, or ISEP Exchange, or the partner provider programs, especially maybe if you're an out-of-state student and you want to save one semester of paying out-of-state tuition, this will bring up the list of those partner programs as well. So I know that we're a little bit over time. It's 3:03, and I believe some of you may have other sessions that you would like to attend. But if you would like us, Jessica, Ryan, do you want to answer some more of these questions?
I'm happy to answer a few questions. I'm also typing out some answers to folks as we go through here.
Excellent, thank you.
Same, I'm happy to answer more if we're able to fit in some more.
Okay. Is studying abroad almost similar to going into an internship to our specific major or minor?
I'm thinking about that one here. I'm not sure that I may be understanding the question. There are students that participate in traditional study abroad programs where they take courses that are approved to fulfill major graduation requirements. So that's certainly an option, to take courses abroad that come back, that transfer back to SDSU and clear upper division major requirements approved by the major department. There are also students that participate in international internships for credit, for academic credit, and that credit might be approved to fulfill a major requirement. There are also students that simply pursue an international internship for the practical, the work experience to make that student more competitive for the future. So there's definitely good reasons to pursue one or both, and we do have some students that may study abroad for a semester while interning in the summer, something like that.
Excellent, thank you. There's a question, how much is housing for a semester? I believe this will depend on the type of housing that you choose at SDSU. And if you are a first year or a second year, SDSU has a requirement for you to live abroad live on campus your first 2 years. So I believe for the first year, there's you also have to pay for meals, but not your second year. So if you Google SDSU housing, they do have a list of prices that are available, so you can explore those different options.
I would also add the Office of Financial Aid and Scholarships has a cost of attendance table for SDSU for roughly what it costs a student, either a resident, a California resident, or a non-resident student to what's the cost for the whole academic year or for a semester. And that includes the estimated cost of housing at SDSU or living off campus. That may be a really good baseline to compare to study abroad costs.
How will studying abroad for a semester affect our other classes not connected to the program we're taking? Or would all our classes align with the studying abroad program?
I can answer that one. This is where, kind of going back to that part about, really planning ahead and being very intentional about the process. So if you do want to do a whole semester program, that's wonderful. And the earlier you plan for it, the easier it is to kind of set up your classes, or at least get an idea of what those classes might be and how they will work for your overall general education requirements or your major requirements. So the earlier you plan, you can maybe identify, I have to take these 2 or 3 GE courses, but it looks like there's options abroad. We actually have a database of approved GE courses abroad. So you can kind of plan, with those. And then for your major, this is where you really need, and I talked about the different departments you're going to have to work with. You're really going to need to work with your major advisor to determine what courses would work more ideally abroad. And if you're not location dependent, if you're really open to, I really want to focus on my econ major and I want to take courses abroad, you can then filter by that and find institutions that are abroad, or exchange partners are abroad that are ideal for your major, and they offer a lot of different courses. And we're beginning the process of actually trying to have that course information in the database. But at this point, you would really just navigate onto that university website and kind of review and say, wow, they have a lot of courses that have similar titles to courses here. Let me check with my major advisor to see if these types of courses would be approved. And then you're able to kind of start in a preliminary way, kind of building your schedule out to see, like, can I go ahead and create a full-time, 12 units, so that everything that I'm taking will transfer over and it won't put me off my graduation goals. So it's really just about planning early, working with your major advisor, and looking at all the options out there and finding the institution or the program that will best work for your academic goals.
If the study abroad program cost, tuition and/or room and board is cheaper, we're out of state. Do we pay SDSU tuition cost or study abroad tuition, room and board, if cheaper?
I can take that one. We often have a little bit different advising for out-of-state or non-resident students than we do for California residents. And for out-of-state students, they often will participate in a provider program that we described earlier, or an ICEP direct program, generally any program where students are not required to pay SDSU tuition, and that often can be comparable to the SDSU cost of attendance, or even cheaper, because you're not paying that higher out-of-state tuition. Because alternatively, if the student was going to participate in one of the exchange programs, then it would mean paying regular SDSU tuition, which means out-of-state tuition. We definitely advise students to pursue the program type or program types that are going to be the most affordable, the most financially the best fit for them. So we encourage students to talk to us and to emphasize their residency status, and we can kind of direct them into the right program type for that reason.
Yeah. How safe physically and health-wise is studying abroad?
I'll take that one. We have, as we mentioned earlier, San Diego State is proudly number 8 in the country. We even were up to number 5, I believe, at one point before the pandemic, in terms of the volume, the number of students that have an international experience while they're an SDSU student. And the vast, vast, vast majority of those thousands of students that study abroad have really wonderful, incredible experiences where they do not encounter any kind of health challenge or a safety challenge, the vast majority. So we really encourage students to focus on that reality. At the same time, we have orientations prior to students departing that emphasize that students need to be prepared and independent to take care of their own physical safety, to take care of their own health and well-being while they're abroad, to be aware of their surroundings, to know what kinds of services and support services they have through San Diego State, through their host institution and their program provider. And What's probably most common in terms of safety issues and health are more minor encounters, something like, unfortunately, your pocket is picked and you encounter some kind of small theft, and that has to be reported and dealt with. Or someone trips and falls and twists their ankle and they need to go to the clinic and get some kind of support there. Those kinds of smaller issues, or just getting the flu, just getting sick, the average flu, and have to go to the clinic and see a doctor and get an antibiotic or something like that. There's definitely doctors and health support at each destination for students. So that's the most common, and we encourage people to pursue the experience.
Thank you. And just to add to that, you will have insurance as well. So to help with those situations that Ryan just mentioned. And then as part of the advising questionnaire that you go through, if you do have, let's say, for example, dietary restrictions, we can also help you can have that as a factor considering what program might be a good match for you. And then also San Diego State uses the Department of State's travel advisory. So making sure that the locations you are going to, or the locations where our programs are running, are in safe locations as well. There is, since study abroad is so popular at SDSU, are programs competitive or impacted? That is a very good question. Ryan, do you want to take that one?
Sure. No, I would say in brief, no. There is ample space for students to study abroad. Generally, any student who comes to see us that is in good standing with San Diego State and is flexible with the program, the destination that they ultimately pursue. Generally, everyone can receive a placement and participate. However, there are some of our exchange programs with our partner universities internationally where there's more limited space, and we encourage students to have 2 or 3 or 4 alternate exchange partner institutions identified, a ranking of those schools, and generally we can place a student at any one of those schools in the ranking. It may not be the first choice, but more than likely we can place the student at an alternate.
Excellent, thanks. And we just have one last question comment. Did I hear Antarctica as an opportunity?
Yes. Did one of you mention Antarctica?
I did, in the locations as we were going through.
Oh, okay. Coincidentally, I have been supporting one student over the last couple of years who's hoping to participate in a program that travels to Antarctica. It's a program that occurs during the Northern Hemisphere winter, December, January, but it's actually the summer in Antarctica, so much, much warmer down there. Still cold, but much warmer. And so she's planning to travel to Argentina and then take this program ship that takes the students down to study Antarctica. So there's definitely an option to pursue that.
Excellent, thank you. And we've answered all of the questions in the Q&A panel. And there's still 39 people here, so thanks for sticking around. We've had over 110 people join us today, so we appreciate you sticking around for our session. And have a good day exploring the rest that SDSU has to offer.
Thanks for joining us.